Hello traders, welcome to another crypto market update. Going to be doing a analysis on many different coins here. Switched it up a little bit. So what we're going to do is look at less coins but do a deeper analysis where we're getting into the smaller time frames, and with the other alts that we were looking at with the smaller alts like Atom, Matic, the liquidity was a lot less, and B, just for me, it makes sense if I am trading the smaller time frames that I trade the largest cap coins I can. So I got XRP, BNB, Link, Cardano, EOS, Ethereum, and Litecoin in there. So those are going to be the pairs I'm going to be looking at for both long-term, not longer term, but like I guess 2 to 5 day swing trades, which is I guess a longer term swing trade in my view, and then also day trading using the 5-minute chart, holding on for maybe half an hour to a couple hours, 4 hours intraday, something along the lines of that. So just talking about BTC before we start and do an analysis on many of these alts. We have seen that the price is now bouncing, just broke above our first descending zone. We had the price drop down significantly with some sell pressure here, where we had the price hold above, making some higher lows, and we got the slam down to the lowest point that we're wanting to see the price, which is around here, around 8,500. If the price goes below 8,500, I think the next area we could definitely see would probably be around the $7,800 zone if the 82 doesn't hold, because the 87 or 78, sorry, like we talked about in the BTC market update, is our zone of confluence around 78. So wouldn't be surprised if the price does drop back down around to that area. But for now, we will continue on with the analysis with mostly just talking about the 1 hour chart, because we are mainly looking at alts in this market. So as of now, we see the price break our first zone. I personally don't want to really look to enter long on a swing trade unless we break the $8,800 high and then we make a higher high. Obviously, we do have a range here where we could have a level of resistance. But in this current market, we are definitely looking more for shorts. We could see longs for short day trades, but for swing trades, obviously the market is in major downtrend. Looking at the 4 hour, we are getting held for a nice level of support here, but until we break out of the lower highs that the price is currently holding, we're currently holding a set of a certain level of support where we see it hold 3 times and then we still see lower highs. So once we start to see the price crack and break into higher highs and higher lows, then we can look to potentially enter as a descending triangle or a descending trend line breakout. And once we start to see the formation and the confidence start to build for the bulls, then we can look to enter for a potential long. So at this point, I think it's a little too early to say that we're going to get a reversal, but it is something that we're going to have in mind. But with that said, we do know that we are still in a bearish trend, and if we do see a pullback and a strong bullish push, we could still identify that as a pullback, and we could still be looking to enter for the continuation move to the downside to create its next impulse push. So in that said, let's first look at Link, and then we will look at the different alts. So using the log mode here, we can see that the previous high is now a level of support. We did push below this area on the daily, so we closed it on the 4 hour. But we can see this zone was broken. I initially had the zone a little bit higher up, but now I'm going to put it a little bit lower. So if we do that, it's not really broken by the daily candle, and we have a key zone of support there that the price is currently holding above. Now going to the 4 hour chart, and this zone is around 350 to 375 is the area of support. And let's just make that a little bit bigger. Actually, I'll just stick it to where it was, right around here. So the main thing we're looking for is a potential push to the upside if we start breaking these highs, but we still are looking for shorts like we said within the market. But I think at this point in time we are going to wait for BTC to kind of give me more of a confirmation. We made an ascending triangle, and then we broke, and then now we are retesting this zone as a nice new level of resistance. We see that very clear picture right here. We were trying to get below this zone, but we got picked up by the bulls. We can see that right here. We can see a strong level of buy volume picking the price up here, seeing higher highs and higher lows, and then we saw a resistance hold up the price right here. So we currently are in a consolidation zone where we're holding a resistance and potentially going to be holding a support. It's just a matter of if we're going to be able to hold a support or not, and that would be dictated mainly on BTC. So not really going to go a whole lot more into the 4-hour. We could draw a trend line that we broke out of, which was this zone right here. And I think the 1-hour will better illustrate this potential zone. I guess we put it right there. So we got this zone, and then we also have from the anchor point here, we have this zone as well. So we have been breaking the resistances, we can see. And also talking about horizontal zones, we see very easily clear zone right there. So overall, we've been breaking resistances and holding supports on key areas. So we are on an uptrend. We see decreasing buy volume coming with the most amount of buy volume around our zone of support, indicating that there is buy pressure within the area, seeing a lot of transactions. And then as we move away from the zone, we're seeing a decreasing buy volume with less and less interest coming in, while still being able to push the price up, but not loving the volume indications that we see right here. Looking at the previous time frames, you can see there's surges in buy volume, but recently we're seeing a decrease in buy volume. So at this point, we got a support at $4. That's good to see. We are on an uptrend. We're making higher highs and higher lows. We've broken 2 descending trend lines and have held them as nice new levels of support. If we just go like that, so then theoretically we could make another move towards the upside here if we are able to hold this zone. But I personally, like I said, I'd like to see what BTC does, because BTC is in a similar place. Link is at a higher place than BTC. So if we look at the BTC chart, we see 2 descending trend lines, and the price is pretty well right at the apex of the zone. On Link, we see a similar type of structure where you see a support hold at this zone right here, this green horizontal level, and then BTC is still at this area here where we're testing the first descending zone, where Link has already broken our 2 descending zones. So it is a front runner of BTC. It is what BTC could potentially do, and that's what we call front runners. So it is an indication what we could see in the future, where we get a strong push to the upside, validate the previous resistance as a new level of support twice. It's obviously not going to be perfect, but looking at what happened here, obviously we can kind of see that it validated all of our zones. So in the future, just talking from this point forwards, if we see BTC break our first zone, like so, if we see BTC break our first zone, then Link will be at a position where it's going to be breaking to a higher high. And then at that point, we might be looking for a potential entry on a smaller time frame here. So that is another zone. We also see it's a horizontal zone of confluence right around there. Let's get the price to like so. And I'm just seeing what the price was at the deep end of here to around 7%. So definitely willing to look for an entry to capitalize on this move from zone to zone. We see that the price is moving towards the upside, respecting previous resistances and as new levels of support. Let's talk about the market structure. So one thing that's not in our criteria that we don't see is the VSA lining up with our trade, because right now we don't have the buy volume coming in. We see initially we saw a lot of buy volume because the price was falling down towards our level of support. Once it hit our support, we saw a strong buy volume come in. We can see indicated right here, and then all the way down we don't see a tremendous amount, but when we actually hit our level of support, we saw a significant amount of buy volume. When we actually started to trend up and break resistances and holding supports, we did see a significant amount of buy volume, yes, but as we went on, we see less and less buy volume coming into the market. So that's not something that I absolutely love in the market. In a strong trending bullish market, what we would see is actually see increasing buy volume, and then we'd see the trend continue, and we're looking to get in on those types of setups. But right now we don't see the VSA, so Link is a possible potential, but there's not enough confluence for me with the VSA, with the rest of the overall trade setup, in order for me to put on a trade at this point in time. So that is Chainlink. If we see increasing buy volume, if we see an hour candle close very bullish and see lots of volume and transactions taking place, then obviously that would pique my interest. But at this point in time, we are seeing decreasing buy volume, and we see sellers starting to come into the market. So I'm not absolutely loving that. Now for BNB. On the daily chart, let's just go back to the weekly here. So we see a very strong zone here that the price is currently below, but we could still close this area. We have around 21 hours and 20 minutes until this candle closes. So if it does close below this zone, very, very easily noticeable area within the chart, then we will be looking for shorts on BNB, because just looking at the overall structure, we can see it push to the downside. We're getting significantly more sell pressure than buy pressure on the way up. Staggeringly high amounts compared to, look at what we saw in the start of 2019. We actually saw a lot of buy volume come in compared to what we saw on these pushes here. They're just pullbacks. They're just weak pushes to the upside, even though the candles are closing green and closing very bullish, we can see. But on the weekly, we're now looking for shorts for sure. So with that said, we are now looking to test this previous level of resistance and support yet again as a new level of resistance potentially. So that is good. We see Binance Coin actually does this a lot. So it comes down, it has wicks, it comes up, and then it has a massive bearish candle. So we see wicks, comes up. Same with a lot of alts, but we see wicks and then we see the come up. So we could see the come up a little bit higher, but knowing that, we are now looking for reversals. So then what are we trying to do? We're trying to create ascending zones where the trend line is connecting the higher lows, and we're trying to find a valid area, a valid zone, which is 4 touches or more, that the price is holding in type A or type B confirmation, and we're looking for 4 or more. And once we have that and the price is squeezing between a horizontal zone of resistance, like we can see right here, and an ascending zone of support, we are getting a squeeze and the price has to make a decision, and we're going to play off of that decision. Our bias is going to be the downside because we made a push to the downside. This is a pullback. Hopefully we're not going to see increasing buy volume coming into the market. Hopefully we see more sellers coming in. A little bit more bearish on BNB. Link could be a little bit more bullish, but the volume doesn't really speak to me that it is a screaming buy, and BNB's volume doesn't really look like it's a screaming sell. We do see a decent amount of buy volume within this candle here, but overall we do see, if we're looking at averages, you're seeing more sell volume coming in than buy volume, and we see that there's peaks that are more sell volume coming in. So overall, within the consolidation and the downtrend, we're seeing volume distribution, which is good. And looking on the overall structure on the 4-hour, it looks pretty good. We see that there's a previous level of resistance right here that's now turning into a new level of support. We do have a pretty strong level of sensitivity right at this zone, so we do have to understand that. Maybe we'll be taking partial profits at that zone if we do hit it, because if a risk reward of 2-to-1 is present or close to it, then I don't mind taking profits if we're able to manage risk pretty well, diving into the smaller time frames. If we're getting that squeeze to come in closer together up to this area here, then we can get that good strong move to the downside. But for now, we're just forming higher highs and higher lows. Let's look at the 1 hour to see if we can find anything a little bit more interesting. Could draw a trend line here, I think. Let's just see. That descending zone isn't super accurate. We only got 2 touches, so it's not ideal, but definitely still a significant zone. We got a descending zone that broke, and now we're getting our pullback. We do see strong bullish volume coming in right there, so definitely something to consider. What if we put that candle right here? I think that definitely gives it a little bit better I think that's going to be a potential ascending zone, like so. And now we see a bearish flag pattern potentially. Don't see a tremendous amount of sell pressure coming in recently. It's actually more bullish pressure within that double top there. We do see there is more sell pressure than buy pressure, but that bullish candle does indicate that there was at least one very strong buyer in the market who thinks that the price is going to go up in value. So the price breaks above our zone of confluence for the sellers, which is around $20.70. If it gets kind of in that $21 range, then our bias will shift to a potential move to an upside. Let's just look at this ascending or descending, trend line, which is right here. And I think I'm going to draw another one as well, trying to incorporate multiple zones like so. And then we also have a mid-range zone we can see right here. Oops. Right here. So that's going to be a pretty key zone that the price is going to have to pass. If not that, we're going to look for shorts here. So let's just talk about market structure. Oops. So we can see that the price is clearly making lower highs. This is a high, this is a lower 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 high. So we're connecting lower highs, multiple situations. So we got an area where there's going to be sell pressure with multiple descending trend lines connecting at this area. And then we also see at previous historic times, this is an area of sell pressure where the price went up, it halted at the zone, and then it came back down with just the wicks protruding above the zone, signifying that there is sell pressure within this area. So we've identified that area. So that's going to be our level of resistance. And we can also see within the recent price action, there's a strong level of support right here, just under the $22 range. And that's going to be, for me, the final area that the price needs to pass before I even think about looking to enter long on a swing trade. On a long trade, obviously it's a little bit different of a story if you are trading the 5-minute chart, because you're only really looking for a 4 or 5% move is a pretty significant move. If you're only risking 1%, risk reward of 4 or 5 to 1 is obviously phenomenal. So just matters about what time frame you're trading. But for swing trades, this is the zone that we need to pass before I look for any long swing trades, because we have a lot of resistance here, we have a lot of resistance here, and we have a lot of resistance with these two descending trend lines. So it just makes sense to mainly look at shorts for swing trades. So that's my analysis on Link. Not really going to be doing anything right now. I personally see a horizontal zone here, and that is about it. Let's just see if this candle closed. It did close on the 4-hour below the zone, instantly got rejected, but at this point in time, I don't really see any real trade to go off of. If we get the price to come closer to the $20.50 range, and if we are looking for some shorts, that would be a good opportunity. Or if we get the price to jump all the way up to here, that would I'd still be looking for shorts, even if the price came all the way up here. Or if the price was able to confirm this ascending zone a little bit more. We really only have 2 confirmations, not really making it any zone at all. If we're able to get a 3rd confirmation, that would make it a potentially dependable zone, and then a 4th touch would make it a dependable area. So that is the hope on BNB. We're not really going to be doing anything at this point in time, but if there are opportunities in the near future, we'll obviously post about it. But for now, I don't really see any opportunities that I have a significant edge on in the market, so I'm just not going to be entering. XRP is the next one that we're going to be doing an analysis on. We see strong buy volume pushing the price up. Really great to see. Did take a couple longs on here, a couple good winners within the past couple weeks, but we did take a couple losses as well. So let's discuss what we've seen. The first thing, actually, let's go to the weekly here. What are we doing? We always want to start off in the larger time frames. We don't start off on every single one because it'd take a significant amount of time, but it's always good to understand how the process works. So we got our significant zone. We rejected it very, very aggressively here, that the seller's pushing the price right back down. We did close green, but we see that there's a tremendous amount of interactions that took place. Look at how much volume that came in on this green bar, which moved a staggering 182% in a week. And then look at this small wick compared to that green bar, and it has more volume taken place in a single week. So that just shows you the level of significance this 30-cent range has. So if we are able to close above this 30-cent range, it will be looking very, very bullish in my opinion. So that's the first thing we can collect from our analysis. Now going into a smaller analysis, so we can see we did close above this zone on the daily, but on the weekly we had a very strong rejection at this area. Now looking at the daily for more of analysis for the market flow, we can see there is the floor. We can definitely identify a key zone there that we're holding, and then we can just look at some potential zones when we zoom right in here. Definitely have a key area right here we have to worry about at this zone right around here. And let's just make this red, and then we're gonna put this as our key area of supply that we could potentially be holding below, because in fact it is our key area of supply. Yeah, we're just gonna leave it right there. I'm pretty happy with where that is. So I'm just gonna put a red box right around here, going to indicate our sell zone. And then we see the price now push to the downside, obviously testing these lows, and then this is the demand zone. So this is the last area of support before we don't really have any more support. So I want to identify that in green. So we're currently at an area of support here. Don't really want to be looking to short right into a key area of demand. So XRP might not be the best for potential areas of shorts. If we do get the price to come back here, we will definitely be looking for potential areas to short, because we will have a nice head and shoulders. We got to push to the downside. We didn't really see much of a pullback, and then we're looking to potentially get a pullback with the price ranging around this area, and then we're looking to get an entry around 26.60, 70. That would be ideal. So then we get a good risk reward, even if we don't push all the way down here, because that would be a very significant move of 18%. Even if we push and test these highs as our new lows, then that's still a really good amount to be able to hold, 9%. So we'll see where it goes. But on the 1 hour, we can see that we're holding these nice lower highs. So we're just going to draw a very, very simple descending trend line. Let's just connect that like so. Just gonna make it a little bit cleaner here. I think we are going to shift it to potentially here. Just seeing the best fit for this line here. So I think that's gonna way to do it. We got two type A's, so that for me is gonna do it for where I want to place it. And then, like always, we want to put a projection if we do have any wicks protruding above the zone, like we do on this current pattern. And then we're going to put a rectangular area where the price bounced off of, showing the buyers in the market. We currently have a descending triangle pattern, and we definitely know what we're going to do when we move to the upside or downside. So on the hour chart, XRP looks really good. We do have a pretty strong level of demand here, where we do have to understand that there are buyers within this range. Don't exactly know a precise area, but if the price does go back down to this area, we will potentially be looking for shorts when we do get a pullback to the 22.75-ish new resistance, previous level of support. So that's the overall structure. We see a nice resistance zone right here. Let's just make that white. And we also see a mid-range zone that we were using within the previous week's day trading sessions right here. And then that is going to be a potential zone that we could be using as a new level of support. If we are going to break to make that higher high from these lows here, it's creating lower lows. We're able to break and make a higher high. And if we hold a higher low, like we can see on this potential confluence zone, then we can look for a reversal on a double bottom maybe, or a triple bottom, I guess you could say. This was the double bottom and then pushed to the upside, got rejected, and then we see the second bottom and the third bottom. So this could be the triple bottom here on the pullback. We'll see how it plays out. BNB does not look nearly as good for the resistance, for the break, because we see that the price had a push and it pulled right back, so not loving it as much. And then Link, we got a pretty strong level of resistance here. This is the final level of resistance, so Link's not looking too bad. I think we can just draw also an ascending trend line like so. So then if we do break the zone, we can potentially call the shift in trend, and if we're able to get that early, we can even get an entry for a potential reversal. That'd obviously be a good situation for us to be in. So let's get that green. Just making sure it is on the connection points that we're looking for here. All right, so very happy with where things currently are. So we got a few zones that we can play with here on the 1 hour if we are day trading for next week. XRP will be interesting. You know, within the small range, we're looking at 3%. So if we're risking 1%, a risk reward of 3.2 or 3 is phenomenal. It's a great trade. So don't get discouraged if the price is trending, because at the end of the day,